is this now? I have a fly problem here. Steve, I think you're on mute. Or is it my audio?
It's my side, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's working now. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll just say it again. This is the January 6th, 2022 Ortelius architecture meeting. I put the link to the doc in the Zoom chat. Please sign in and we'll get started here. So just kind of recap some of the stuff that we were kind of wrapping up or talking about last year. Some of the things that we need to look at is generating XBDX SBOM for our Python microservices. There is a open source project out there I think we can incorporate pretty easy into our Google Cloud build at that level. So I have to open an issue on that. So I will get that out there. One of the other things is Aisha was going to look at how we can incorporate the libyar into our components. So for those that don't know what a libyar is, it basically is a way to calculate how old the packages that you are consuming are. So let's say there's been like log4j. If you're on version 1.2.8 of log4j and the current version's 2.17, the time difference between when the 1.2.8 was released and the current 2.17 was released is what they call libyar. So it's just a gauge of how well developers are staying up to date with the latest version of their dependencies. Aisha's working on that to kind of design out and lay out what we need to do on the database and where we can kind of keep, store this data. When we do that, we'll probably have a couple more microservices to load that data. So look for a couple, if anybody's interested in some Python microservices, that will probably be coming out of that, what Aisha is designing there. And if anybody wants to help her, just you can reach her on the Discord channel. The next is the service catalog that we've been working on, seems like forever. We are getting very close. I have a meeting. We have another, like 9 hours from now, we'll have the Australian architecture working group. And from what I could see with the PRs that they've been doing, they've been figuring out this whole Helm process and artifact hub and all that, that we will be using to do a simple one-line install of Ortelius. That was kind of like the goal that we had, was to do a single one-line install. If anybody's interested, I believe we still need a Helm chart that includes the child charts. So we need a parent Helm chart that includes the child ones.
I'd like to try that.
Okay, cool. It should be pretty easy. It's just getting the format down. So I'm gonna put your name next to that, Sasha.
Yeah, add me.
And I'll make sure there's an issue out there. I'll have to hunt down the issue number for you.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I can go look to you.
All right. And then as part of that, once we get that kind of this whole install process wrapped up, then we just need to make the final changes to our documentation so we know what the, how to run it and stuff like that. But if we look at, if you jump over to Artifact Hub. So Artifact Hub used to be called Helm Hub, and they replaced it. The Helm folks did over to this to be a little more generic. So we can actually, here's what they've been working on. These are our microservices that are currently in place to run our application. So this is where we need the one more parent chart to kind of like include all these in a single go. And these look like, like validate user got updated 9 days ago. So it looks like the automation on the back end through some GitHub actions and a couple other things is working. So that will simplify things. So that's like what Ben and Amit and Brad from Down Under are pulling together for us on that front. We got some bad security ratings. An F.
Really?
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I have not seen I knew we had one coming out of that I see in the Docker image, but I have not seen any in big detail on this level. So we'll have to take a look at that as well. I'll open an issue about checking the security vulnerabilities in what these are popping up. Go back to our meeting.
Sorry, is that in the Docker image?
I can't tell. I think so. It may be not only in the Docker image, but also in the packages that we're consuming.
Okay.
Python has a couple. There was an issue I saw with the requests Python module that you had to upgrade to a newer version to get around some of the CVEs at that level. And one of the things I'm working on kind of in general is to get better data for us to play with. And part of that is to add in the vulnerability scan against our own microservices and when we push them out there. Because the other thing that we have, if you actually log into Deploy Hub, there it is. And if we log into the Ortelius project in there, we'll see where we're keeping track of Ortelius itself and deploying it. Let me see if I can remember the password. I think it's just the same. So here you can see that the Ortelius DevOps is what we're currently building. So that is the package that we are consuming, and it has all of our microservices as part of that. The other ones that you're seeing are like the website documentation. Those types of things are being run through as well. So these are all the website updates that we've had. And change that filter. We should have the documentation. So here's the documentation that's being published as well. So for those of you that are new, our documentation and our website are Hugo markdowns. So basically what we do is we take the markdown, we run it through the Hugo engine, and that creates a static site for us. And then that's all part of our Docker build and we end up with basically it's an Nginx website with a bunch of static files underneath it that came from the markdown files. And then we use the Nginx page speed module to optimize it. So we get nice page speed loads with the application. And that's all done, so we have this handoff between the Google Cloud build, Deploy Hub, and Ortelius. So Deploy Hub is based on Ortelius, so it's like we're the downstream project from Ortelius, so that's where we're picking this information up and going with it. Some of the things that we talked about at the last meeting last year was visualization of our data. And some of the ideas that we're talking about was more at the application level. How do we view changes over time? So as an application gets released, what are the changes that are happening with it? Can we identify which components are changing the most frequently? So is there like a specific microservice that is constantly changing, and then there's going to be a set that are pretty static? Because one of the things that you'll see in general, and this is not only in the microservice world, but even in monolith, that you'll have a set of code that you'll kind of get it to a point where you're happy with it, and then you never touch it again. In one of my other programs, OpenMake, I have code in there from the 90s that I haven't touched it since then, since we originally wrote it. So that's where we're talking about visualization, is looking at some sort of time scale was one of the ideas, maybe a 3D bar chart, expanding the hierarchical edge bundling. So if you have any ideas around visualization of our data, you just have to think of our data as in twofold. One, it's a large number of dependencies to a massive dependency tree. So not only from the application to the component, but from component to component, service to service type levels. And then we have versions of all that information that happen over time. So we get these complex relationship diagrams that we have to figure out how to render very pretty. The last thing kind of on my list was testing. And I'm going to turn it over to our testing guru and have him talk about what he's been working on the last couple of weeks.
That's you, Raj. And we have not met. I don't think everybody's met.
And we'll do an intro. We'll do an intro for everybody here.
And Lakshmi as well.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first between the two new?
Well, Pruvraj, can you talk about what you've done with the testing?
Yes, actually, initially I started testing using open source tool actually. So for that, I'm using Java and a Serenity framework. So it's like a BDD approach. So normally in software development, we'll follow the agile methodology. So for that, BDD approach is there. So for that open source framework, already it's available. So I'm using that framework, and I developed some POC, like I opened the application tab, just adding, and I modified key value configuration, just whether I did for POC purpose. And I configured in GitHub, so it is working. So once I get the business scenario, I will do for remaining scenarios.
Nice. And then also on the testing front, I think we're going to have you kind of share with us how to kind of word or phrase the test cases. Because you said there's like a certain format that helps you be able to build out the actual test case for more of a English or a paragraph style description of what needs to be done. Isn't that correct?
Actually, in that Discord channel, I posted some sample scenarios. So nowadays we are following Agile for that BDD scenario, like given, when, then. So like that only we are following. So just I posted in that some sample scenario. So
Perfect.
we can follow. So directly we can convert that test script, automation test script, manual test script to automation test script.
Got it. So we'll need to work and creating those test cases, and everybody learn how to do testing, because it's one thing I do awful. You have to teach me how to do it. I've always run away.
Actually, I don't know much on that application knowledge. That's why I did some POs, some scenario I did. So if I know very well that application knowledge, then I will do more things.
Right. So let's go. So that's moving along. Oh, I did merge your pull requests just a little while ago. So you'll see that your action has been merged. So one of the things that now that we have the POC kind of we're kind of over the hump, where the next step is integrating it into our as a GitHub action to be able to render the results off of our GitHub repo. So that's a work in progress at that front. And one thing about, for those of you that are new to our community, we don't pigeonhole you into doing one thing. So we make you do a little bit of everything. So from writing microservices to doing DevOps stuff with the CI/CD process to doing documentation, all those different things. We make sure that you get a well-rounded experience with us. So if you want to learn something new, just reach out on Discord, and we can make sure that you get the help that you need if you want to try something new. With that, Lakshmi, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lakshmi, and I have experience working as an infrastructure automation engineer. I primarily code in Python and PowerShell. And for the past year, I've been working with Azure. Prior to that, for a couple of years, I had my hands dirtied with AWS as well. So I have experience on DevOps related activities and no development experience.
Okay. Well, with your Python, we can definitely transition you and give you an opportunity to work with some microservices. New ones that we'll have coming down the road if you're interested. One of the nice things with microservices and the approach that we're kind of taking with Ortelius. So Ortelius is a monolith, and it's just like the data access routines, the 30,000 line Java class. And instead of keep on doing new updates to that, anything new transactions and stuff, we're moving into the Python fast API world for the microservices. And one of the goals that we kind of laid out was trying to keep the program under 250 lines long. So we'll be able to get you that developer experience with those types of programs without making you weed through a 30,000 line program.
Sure, that sounds fun.
And then just to give you some background around the DevOps world, we kind of span all the different providers. So we use GitHub as our main repository. We have GitHub Actions that will execute up there. We have Google Cloud Build to do the build, and that will publish over to the Quay, which is the Red Hat registry. And then through Deploy Hub, we actually deploy out to an Azure cluster. So we have a little bit of everything happening. And we kind of kept it that way to make sure that if somebody had a bunch of AWS experience, and they want it in Azure, that they can get that feel for it. And same with GCP and stuff like that. So we'll make sure that you're not bored.
Sounds good.
Anybody else?
Steve, I thought the initiation when you're a new person is to read all 30,000 lines of code.
Well, it really is. It's really to fix a merge conflict.
Okay. I was just checking.
Yeah, it's to fix a merge conflict when I take the downstream deploy hub and merge it back up with the go backwards in the in Git. You know, your favorite thing, Sasha, merge conflicts in GitHub.
That's me. That's what I do.
The only one who read the all 37,000 lines is Sasha, and he lost all his hair. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Serge was smart and didn't do that and got a cool haircut.
Yeah.
Sergio's looking very professional today.
Yeah,
I almost
he
didn't
is,
recognize him.
I missed the purple.
Yeah, I have a lot of comment this week about my hair, so I just looking for a new one, because I have like I have less interest of my hair when was with a weird color than now that is very normal.
And Sergio, on that note, I think we need to, the three of us need to get together so you can understand your role. One of the kind of roles or jobs that we've been missing is what Marky Jackson was really, really good at doing. And what he would do is he would watch for the pull request, and he would reach out to people and say, hey, here's a really good first time kind of pull request that you might want to work on, and help people identify with what they should be doing. And that is the role we really, really need. And I think I think with your background, and you know pretty much most of everybody on the team, that you'll be able to start doing that. So I think that will be your primary kind of role in being that chairperson, is to help push the pull request.
And you know, kind of navigate issues to people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I will thinking about that, and will love to do that, because the moment, the few times I try to take like okay, let me try something, it's like a pool of stuff, and you don't know what is the priority, what is important, what is going to go about. So okay, yeah, I will look to take on that.
And I think
organize and connect people with that kind of needs.
Yeah, and I think if you and Steve start watching them and initially start doing it together and saying, let's give this to Lakshmi. This was something that she probably could get started on. You know, let's push this over to Arvind. He's not coded anything yet. Let's give him that to work on. I think that we'll get more contribution that way, because then everybody knows that they've been given something and they're going to get supported on it as well, instead of just taking on something. I don't think we have enough experience in our open source community yet to just start taking things on their own.
Okay, I'm going to start working on that for sure.
Yeah, and we may need to just do another meeting to kind of weed through and recategorize all the issues, just to help and clarify some of this stuff, to make it, because when you go out there, there's like 80 issues and it's a little overwhelming.
Exactly. And I think the more that you and Steve work on it together to start assigning issues, it'll be easier to figure out how you need to organize them, or at least tag them, like good first issue, high coding requirements, low code requirements. Yeah, exactly.
So here's a question for you that is as being part of an open source community, do you think it's okay to have deadlines for like an issue? So let's say we needed you to write a new microservice, or like for Sasha, we're going to do the Helm chart. do you think it's appropriate to assign like a deadline, like a week out or something like that? Or do you think that's a little tacky?
I like it. If you give me deadlines, I like that. That helps me pace myself, right?
Okay.
So I can manage my time better.
Yeah.
Okay, because in the past year, I kind of left it open-ended.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we had a slip on the service catalog stuff, because basically we never put a date to it. You know, we never had a release date or anything like that. That's why I was kind of curious what people thought about that. I just don't want to step on anybody's toes.
I think this year we need to have much more frequent releases. We should be trying to do a new release like once a month at the basic. I mean, you know, if we have changes that we can get pushed in even more frequently, we should just be pushing updates as frequently as possible. Yeah,
the whole back end is set up to do the releases. So anytime you do a pull request, it actually will do a release at that level. So the back end part from the DevOps perspective is there. It's just us getting all the other pieces pulled together, you know, like making sure the documentation's updated at the same time, those type of things that we just need to work on.
And the other thing that we should open a ticket for, there's two things that we should open tickets for, but one of them is, now that we have a SaaS version of Ortelius out there that everybody can use, we need to have a Ortelius project that can deploy Ortelius out to people who want to have a local version. Right?
Yep.
So we should have an Ortelius project that, so if they want to install a local version out in their environment, they can go to Ortelius to deploy out that version of Ortelius. Because now we're going to have different a lot more components. So we need to define an Ortelius deploy project so that people can use Ortelius to push out a local version of Ortelius. So every one of you should be able to go to Ortelius and and create a local version of it.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure to add these couple issues.
And then I've been working on, let me share my screen really quick, just so this team knows where we stand. I've been working on a comparison, or Steve and I should say, have been working on a comparison doc of other microservice catalogs. And here's kind of where we stand. And I'm going to do a white paper and I'll publish this as part of my Deploy Hub content. But the one thing that we saw that we probably could do fairly easily is this project templating. And what that is creating, you know, once you set up if you have a microservice you want to create, it's going to go out and create your GitHub repository. It's going to create a shell version of the microservice. It's going to create a shell version of your test scripts, those kinds of things. And there's an open source project called
Cookie Cutter.
Cookie Cutter, which we could integrate with pretty easily. And so we should probably add that to our I think this is it's probably a fairly low-hanging fruit since Cookie Cutter is already out there, because what that's going to do is going to give developers an even stronger reason to go ahead and register their microservice, because when they register their microservice, they'll be at the same time be able to choose what template that they want to use, and it'll set up some stuff for them.
So you could think of it as Cookie Cutter as a way to onboard a new microservice very quickly. And if you look at the premise behind it is, instead of a developer cutting and pasting between one existing repo and a new one, that you use Cookie Cutter and its project templates to do all that work for you. And it's everything from setting up the Git repo, making sure there's a license file there, README, some basic test cases, you know, like a Jenkins file, so you have the consistent pipeline. You know, everything like that is what the Cookie Cutter templates kind of are working towards. And it looks like they have a bunch of packages out there or parts of templates that we can kind of string together all the different pieces very creatively, put it that way.
So I think this looks like an easy feature that will bring a big impact. So this would be what Backstage does. Backstage doesn't use Cookie Cutter, they have their own. But we don't need to write our own since Cookie Cutter's out there and it's open source.
I'm going to check. I want to compare it because today there is something similar that is taking a lot of strongness inside on the web developer side for some way. I see a lot of that file putting in place. They are like super. There are valid for example for a Visual Studio, for Eclipse, and you can instantiate it with a Tekton too. Not really, I don't know. I want to check like what is the similarities because I haven't heard about Cookie Cutter, but I feel it's kind of close. But at this file, I looking that on everywhere. I'm seeing a lot of projects, and I see it is integrated with a lot of frameworks. So I will do that check.
Okay,
that'd be great.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and open an issue and just add what you find from like the Eclipse and Visual Studio plugin side.
Yeah, I will like to take that because it's we need some kind of more cloud ready for some way kind of templating. So I think it's a fair effort to be sure what is a good match for us.
Yeah, and we do have 3 kinds of objects that we create that we would want to have the option to select what template. We have the container, which is what we focus on for the most part. And then we have just application files. Let's say somebody's doing Salesforce and they have a Salesforce Apex file. And then we have database objects. So those are our 3 types that we'd want to be able to give them a template for. But initially, if we could just get it for the containers, that would be great. So when they create a new container, one of the first questions they're asked is, what template would you like to use?
Yes. Yeah, I will love to like I would like to, well, we are doing DevOps. So I think at some point we are going to test Tekton for sure. So it's going to be nice, like taking a template from a dev file with Tekton into Kubernetes.
Yeah.
And this is totally integrated with the Argo CD too. So
yeah,
I think it's a nice match. So
yeah,
just going to at least read about Cookie Cutter. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, we run over a little bit. Anybody else have anything else? All righty.
I am happy to see Sasha and Sergio back, and we can do a lot of more things in this year. Hello, Sasha. Hello, Sergio. How are you?
Hey, friends. For sure, we're going to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Just watch out now, because Sergio's been given the stick now, huh? So you must
Oh,
your best
yes. Absolutely.
Alrighty, everybody. Look for some issues to pop up. So Lakshmi and Prujval, just all the issues that we create, we all put them in the Ortelius repo because we have some like 52 repos or something like that. So everything's centralized in one place to make it easy for you to find things. We'll do pull requests across repos. But if you're looking for something, just go to the Ortelius/Ortelius repo and you'll see what's going on there. Like I said, we have to do some cleanup on that front. But that's where you can start browsing and get an idea of what you may be interested in. And also just we're actually pretty good on our Discord channel. So just drop in and just post anything out there. We get a lot of, I would say it could be a random thought generator, our Discord channel. So it'll be anything from new development that we're working on, to new tools that we found, or like Tracy said, new open source projects that we need to look at. So just keep an eye on the Discord, and welcome aboard and Happy New Year, everybody.
Hey, thank you.
See you, friends. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone.